Hello everyone and welcome to the CIRS webinar. My name is Gary Bayliss and my company Export Access is the UK authorised agent for CIRS. I'm pleased to introduce today's webinar entitled How to Export Prepackaged General Food to China. The presentation will conclude with a question and answer session in response to questions submitted by registrants. If we have time, we will answer questions submitted online during the webinar. You may submit a written question at any time during the webinar by using the Ask a Question feature in the webinar screen. We will also be pleased to respond later to questions submitted by email. A recorded copy of this webinar will be sent to all registrants. Before introducing our speaker today, I would like to provide a little information on CIRS. Chemical Inspection and Regulation Service, known as CIRS, is a leading product safety and chemical management consulting firm, providing regulatory compliance services, tailored solutions, and original information. Our mission is to help exporters identify and understand regulatory barriers in China and to provide comprehensive, easy to access, and cost-effective compliance solutions. CIRS has its headquarters in Hangzhou, further offices in Beijing, Nanjing, and Ningbo, and outside China in Ireland, the USA, and Korea. Today's speaker is Ms. Ran Liu, Senior Regulatory Consultant in the Food Compliance Division, based at CIRS office in Ireland. Ms. Liu has a master's degree in engineering science and majored in food engineering. She currently works for CIRS Europe and is responsible for providing food regulatory technical support for European food and food-related companies. I'd like to go ahead and ask Ran to begin her presentation. Ran?
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for introducing CIS and me. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ran from CIS. I'm a regulatory consultant and I'm based in Dublin office. I'm the speaker of today's webinar. And before start today's webinar, I would like to introduce the background and the current situation of prepackaged general food in China. Well, from 2013 to 2019, the amount and batches of imported food are increasing every year. Over 60% of the unqualified imported food product is general food. General Administration of Customs, which is called GACC, while they reserves the right to destroy or reject all products which are not meeting the requirements of the Chinese regulations. So it is necessary to know what you need to do before exporting products to China. Well, in this webinar, we will talk about the categories, regulations, and authorities of prepackaged general food. And in the second and third parts, we will give regulatory compliance procedures for imported prepackaged general food and give a case study. And before this webinar, we made a questionnaire survey and sent it to all registration. We got some feedback and some questions, so we add a Q&A section. In that section, we will answer some of their questions. Now we move on to the first part, prepackaged general food introduction. Before that, I would like to introduce the Chinese food categories to you. Well, in China, food can be divided into general food and special food. And special food includes health food, food for special medical purposes, and infant formula powder. Prepackaged general food are like candy, chocolate, beverage, wine, instant noodles, crisps, general dairy products such as milk powder, yogurt, cheese, and so on. It refers to the foods prepackaged or made up in advance with a measured quantity in a container. They should have a unified labeling of quality or volume within a certain range. Here I gave the general food categories which are shown in GB 2760-2014 version. We can find that there are 16 categories in this list. Well, because the table only can contain 8 in one page, so I listed these 16 categories in two tables. The categories are like dairy and dairy products, frozen drinks, fruits, meat and meat products. On next page, seafood products, beverages, alcoholic beverages, and others. I also listed the major regulations in this table. As we all know, the Food Safety Law of the People's Republic of China is the basic law of all foods in China. The general standards are like GB 2760-2014 version. The usage of food additives, which I list the categories on the last page. Well, GB 14880-2012 version, the usage of nutrition enhancers and some other requirements are listed in this table. And here I also give you the labeling standards. For labeling, the standards are like GB 7718-2011 version, the general rules of the labeling of prepackaged general food. Well, in these two tables, I only list some major regulations. As we all know, prepackaged general food have varieties of food categories. So for different food products, there may have other regulations and requirements. Here I give you three main authorities: SAMR, State Administration for Market Regulation, which is the former CFDA, China Food and Drug Administration; NHC, National Health Commission of the People's Republic of China, which is the former MOH, Ministry of Health; and Customs, General Administration of Customs, which we called it China Customs or GACC. These three authorities are the main authorities that you may use to check the information or apply for registration or filling. I also give the link below, which is easy for you to check them. Now we move on the second part, regulatory compliance procedure for exporting prepackaged general food. In this page, I list the 5 points. CIRS technical team suggests that you can follow these 5 steps: qualification preparation, GB evaluation, product formula review, testing, and Chinese label preparation. The first step is qualification preparation. It includes the information filling for both exporter and importer, overseas manufacturer registration at GACC, and other specific certifications for certain foods. This is a screenshot of the information filling system. It has both Chinese and the English version on the system page, and the link is shown below. The overseas manufacturer registration result can be found on the website of GACC. I gave you the link below and the screenshot of their English website. I need to explain one point. At the moment, only dairy products, seafood products, meat products, and bird's nest products need to register their overseas manufacturer at GACC. Well, there is a draft which was published last November. It said the category may increase to all foods. However, the formal requirement is not published yet. So until now, Still, these four categories need to apply for the overseas manufacturer registration at GACC. Step 2 is the evaluation of the National Food Safety Standard, which we call GB. GB is the first two letters of their Chinese word. The Chinese name is called 国标. The purpose of this step is to confirm the GB standards of the products, ingredients, and the production processes. For example, chocolate should conform to GB 9678.2. Processed cheese should follow GB 25192, 2010 version, GB 19302, 2010 version for fermented milk, and GB 7101 2015 for the solid beverage. Then CIRS suggests you review the product formula to ensure that each ingredient is allowed to be used and the quantities are within the limitation in the relevant GB standard. From us, the formula review will be divided all ingredients into two parts. Food raw materials and food additives. We will check out the allowance and the limitation of them. The next step is testing. The tests include the nutrition test and the GB test. The nutritional test includes the tests of energy, protein, fat, carbohydrate, sodium, and other nutrients if needed. GB tests are like the sensory test, physical chemical test, microorganism, and others. Here I will give you 3 tips. The first one is the nutrition test report, which is mandatory, shall be provided to CIQ and can be used to design the Chinese nutrition information. CIQ is China Inspection and Quarantine. The second tip is for most food categories, the GB test report is not mandatory to provide when importing, but CIRS suggests to conduct GB test before importing to ensure that the product quality can comply with the requirements in China. The last one is for some special food categories, such as dairy products and vegetable oil. The GB test report is mandatory to provide. Now we move on to the last step, the preparation of the Chinese label. First, we need to translate each ingredient into formal Chinese and design all mandatory contents for Chinese label. Then check the icon and wording on the original food packaging to generate a completed food label. Well, a standard Chinese label should have the following 9 information: food name, ingredients list, net weight, origin country, information of importer, distributor, or Chinese agent, production date and expiry date, storage condition, nutrition information, and other information for certain foods. Well, in the third part, we will give you a case analysis, which follow the 5 steps we talked in the second part. Here we use a formulated milk powder. In this picture, we can find the name of this product is farm milk powder, and this product is in the dairy product category. Well, as this product is not for infants, so it is also in the general food category. Follow the 5 steps we talked. We first apply for the overseas manufacturer registration at GACC because this is a dairy product. and do the information filling of the importer and exporter. Then we do the second step, GB evaluation. As we know, this is a general milk powder, so we check GB 19644 2010 version, which is for milk powder. The definition of formulated milk powder can be found from this regulation, and now we're sure it is in this category, and we move on to the formula analyze. According to this product's ingredients list, it has 4 ingredients: whole milk powder, sugar, soya lecithin, and vitamin C. We checked that all of them can be used in China with different regulation references. I listed the references number and their name in the first table. And for soya lecithin and vitamin C, they have a dosage requirement. The added amount of soya lecithin is 2%, and for vitamin C is 0.1%, which this product is compliant. The testing of this product includes GB test and nutritional test. For the first import, all items in GB 19644 2010 version shall be tested for the imported batch, and the report shall be submitted to China customers. And the nutritional test are energy, protein, fat, carbohydrate, sodium, and vitamin C. Here I give the standard Chinese label for this product. The company can stick it on the outside of their product. Well, for a better understanding, I also give an English content label here. I need to mention the words in red: overseas manufacturer registration number. This is what we talked before for the Chinese label, other information just for special foods. Because this product is a dairy product, and the dairy product at the moment need to register their overseas manufacturer. So on the Chinese label, overseas manufacturer registration number is necessary to be provided. And we usually recommended the GB test and nutritional test can be carried out together with a Chinese label design to save time. Well, now we move on to the Q&A section. Before this webinar, we have sent survey to our registration, and thanks for giving us the feedback. I picked some 2 questions in this Q&A section, and for some complex questions, I will send the email to answer. The first question we got is, what should be paid attention to when providing imported food labels for customers' clearance? Well, the labels of imported prepackaged food shall comply with the relevant laws and the regulations of China, such as GB 7718 2011 version, the general rules of for prepackaged food labeling. And according to the provisions on inspection, supervision, and management of import and export prepackaged food labels, the agent should provide 5 stamped documents when declaring. The first one is an original label and its translation of prepackaged general food. Then a standard Chinese label of prepackaged food. Next, a copy of the business license of the importer, distributor, or agent listed in the label. Then when imported prepackaged food label emphasizes something such as the legal region, contains special ingredients, or others, the agent should provide corresponding proof documents. And the last one is other certificates or supporting documents, which depends on the prepackaged food products. The next question we got is, what are the mandatory contents of nutrition labels for imported prepackaged food? Well, the nutrition labels on imported prepackaged food in China are usually presented in the form of a nutrition fact sheet. The mandatory labeling is the content and its percentage to the nutrition references value of the energy, protein, fat, carbohydrate, sodium, and some others. Well, as we still have time, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it on the right side and send it to me. I will answer some questions in this Q&A section. Well, the first question we got is ISO immediately equivalent to GB for product release into China? My answer is no. Well, like in EU, we have EU regulation. In America, we have US regulation. And in China, we have GB. GB is called China National Standards. If you want to export your product to China and sell them in the Chinese market, you must to make sure your ingredients, your product is compliant with China regulations and requirements. And also for the test, it also need to be confirmed with like GB test and nutrition test for by the China regulations and requirements. The second question is it okay if I claim natural ingredient in my product? My answer is it depends on what is your natural ingredient. As we know, in different countries, they have their own ingredients list. So before you use your product, before you use this ingredient in your product, or before you export your product to China, you must check whether the ingredients you use are allowed to be used in China, and check the dosage level of this ingredient. And if you find this product, this ingredient is not on the list, we will suggest you to remove it or do the new food raw material or new food additive registration. Once the registration passes, this means you can use this ingredient in China. The next is, can you explain the status in China for healthy food and how it's farmed in CBEC? Well, for healthy food, as this webinar, we only talk about the prepackaged general food. For healthy food, we have its own healthy food for a webinar. You can focus on our website, or you can you can check our newsletter to see when we will offer a free webinar for healthy food. And also, if you have any questions or of other special foods, you can send email to me. We are more than happy to answer your questions and give you a support. Next is what are the main reasons for unqualified imported food? Well, according to China customers, as I know, as I remember, over 20% are unqualified quality products. Incomplete certification and the label products totally amount for over 30%. Other main reasons are like overdosage of food additives, microbial pollution, certification mismatch. So CIS suggests both the importer and the agent should follow the 5 steps we talked in this webinar when exporting prepackaged food to China in order to improve the pass rate and the save time. The next question, what are the certain foods? What are the certain foods? Certain foods. What do you mean for the certain foods? Okay, just I remember in the when we talked about the content of the mandatory labeling, we mentioned the other specific information for certain foods. Well, because there are varieties of prepackaged general food, so I can I only give you 2 examples here. The first one is imported olive oil. It should provide the olive fruitage and the content of trans fatty acid. And the second example is for imported alcoholic beverages. They shall be labeled with alcohol content and packaging date. And also for alcoholic beverages, they have a lot of small categories, such as wines, beers, distilled spirits. So for them, they have their own requirements. Like for imported wines, the advantage of the grapes and the sulfur dioxide are also needed. Beers need to indicate the original wort concentration, and the fermented and distilled spirits should be labeled with the warning that excessive drinking is harmful to health. Well, because the limited the time, other questions I will write an email to you, and I will also write an article, write them in an article and publish on our website. You can focus on our website, and also I will send you the link by email when it's published. Now we move on to the next part. According to our clients' inquiries and our technical team experiences, we create a checklist which is helpful for companies have a better understanding on exporting prepackaged general food to China. First, confirm the applicable GB of the product. GB means China National Standard. Then check ingredients are permitted and that quarantines are within prescribed limits of the relevant GB standard. Then do the nutrition tests and GB tests to ensure the product's quality. Review and revise the original label. Translate the original label into Chinese. Prepare a standard Chinese label under China National Standard. Then apply the information filling on overseas manufacturers, overseas exporters, agents, and importers with GACC. And for dairy products, seafood products, meat products, and bird's nest products, register the overseas food manufacturers site with GACC. CIRS is providing one-stop services of China food regulatory compliance. For prepackaged general food, we offer the following services: regulatory compliance on prepackaged general food, review and revise the original label and the preparation on the standard Chinese label, testing on the nutrition test and GB test, help you do the overseas manufacturers, overseas exporters, agents, and importers GACC information filling, and the overseas food manufacturer registration at GACC, training on prepackaged general food regulation. And also our technical team can do the consulting services. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact us. Here are my email address and my office number. If you have any questions or concerns of China prepackaged general food regulations, or you have any food inquiries, please feel free to contact me. Also, you can download this presentation from our website or ask me for a PDF version. My speaking is finished. Gary.
Thank you, Ran. Thank you everyone for listening. We'd particularly like to thank the following organisations for promoting this webinar: the Department for International Trade, the Commercial Affairs Department of the Chinese Embassy in Ireland, Bord Bia, the Irish Food Board, Dublin Chamber of Commerce, the Irish Export Association, the Food and Drink Exporters Association, and the Irish Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine. You can send us any additional questions anytime by email to the address shown on the last slide. This concludes our presentation, and thank you for joining us today.